Hi, everybody. David Donaldson here with another episode of Entrepreneurial Impact. Very excited to have our guest and entrepreneur join us today, Luke Acree of ReminderMedia, Stay Paid Broadcast, and Broke Agent Media. So Luke has been around the block and been very involved with agents in real estate. Joe Martin, my associate, is not able to join me today. He is, honestly, to be truth told, he's a little nervous, right? He's scared about the Bills in the championship game, and are they be able to make through because they know my Eagles are coming through.
Oh, you like the
My Eagles are going to come through and come over the Redskins. So we'll see what happens. Now, this podcast is going to surface after that, so we'll see if this intro ages well or not. But Luke, welcome to the show.
Man, David, thank you so much for having me. I won't hold it against you that you like the Eagles. I'm actually in Eagles territory. Our company is based in King of Prussia. I'm going to the game this week. But I grew up a diehard Washington Redskins fan because I grew up out in Virginia before I moved up here. So, this is the first time they've been good in 33 years, and I'm only 36 years old. So I don't even remember the last time the Commanders or Redskins were good.
Yeah, you're just outside my old hood. I grew up in Philly, and then went to high school in Jenkintown, King of Prussia. Spent many a time out in that general direction, and actually was just up there recently for a hockey tournament out in Valley Forge. So
love it.
Not far away at all.
Next time you're up here, man, come by the office. We're on First Avenue right there by the casino.
I will be sure to do. Oh, you're right, the casino there. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will certainly be sure to do it. Now, look, you're a little bit delayed. We had your brother on with us back in season 1.
Wow.
So I'm sorry for the gap in that. But you come from a family of entrepreneurs and obviously very heavily backgrounded in real estate, right? So how did that come about for you? What made you to stay in real estate but go in this direction, right? You are on the branding and marketing and business development side for agents versus the heavy side, day-to-day side of production.
Yep.
What kind of took you in that direction? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So love that you had Steven on. He's probably the talent. I'll be the mouthpiece, as they say. So marketing is my passion. And so, joined up. So give you the long kind of story, but I'll try to shorten it. So Steve, who is my uncle, not my little brother, Steven, who's the real estate agent, but Steve's my uncle, was in the print business. And he had created a concept called Healthy Pet Magazine, which was this idea of veterinarians sending a magazine to their clients to remind them to bring their pets in for their appointments. So great idea. He had gotten that up in the United States, but ended up trying to sell it. It didn't go very well. Kind of a normal entrepreneurial story. He learned a lot of lessons in that, and then tried to do the same type of concept within real estate. And so started a company called ReminderMedia, and started to do something maybe some of your listeners might know. It's called American Lifestyle Magazine. So I actually have one here on my desk. Maybe you've seen it, been around for about 20 years. And he started this concept of personally branded magazines within the real estate space. And Steve had gotten that up about to the recession at that time. My brother Dan and I, so we're both Steven's older brothers, but we had started a company called Nextmark Design, which was a graphic design website marketing company, and was doing that for about 4 years. And of course, because Steve, our uncle, was an entrepreneur, businessman, and we were doing this business, he, of course, is mentoring us in there. And really, I look back, and it's like anything in life, he was really selling. He was selling us on, hey, you guys should join up with me. And so about 13 years ago, we joined up with him. And God's really blessed us. We had 30 employees at the time when we all joined together, and now we have about 300 team members. And, last year we worked with about 59,000 clients, but 35,000 real estate agents. And so real estate is where our real passion is, because that is the main majority of our client base. And we also have a passion for it because my younger brother, Steven, runs Acree Brothers Realty team. And it gives us a chance to really live out the marketing that we practice and preach. And since then, ReminderMedia, which is known for our personally branded magazines, we've gone on to add on geographic farming. So we do a bunch of direct mail with postcards. We also do meta advertising. So if you want to run Facebook ads or Instagram ads, we do that for people, as well as social media content and email marketing. So it's kind of become a marketing platform that we are trying to take across the country. It is growing. Our mission is to really help our clients close more deals, retain more business, to empower them to live a life of freedom. That really is what it is. But that's the long story, as short as I could give it to you.
No, I love how quickly you're able to wrap that up and tie that back into your mission, right? Mm-hmm. And when I look at what you're doing, it's really interesting because I was looking at it. You were very passionate about relationships, right? You've grown a very large business through real estate agents. And when you're selling a marketing platform and your utilization of, an older print media, right?
Oh yeah, people tell me print's dead all the time.
Well, it's funny because I remember, so I got licensed in '07 and I was
Yeah.
licensed in Arizona, right? And at the time, everybody was spending all kinds of things. And American Lifestyle magazine was one of those tools
Yep.
that were utilized. There was a lot of print. But that was one of the things that kind of went away very quickly because we really crashed hard in Arizona, right? So
Yep.
when I moved back to the East Coast in 2012, people were still heavily involved in print. Like print had not gone away. And so I still see it a lot out there. And obviously I see American Lifestyle everywhere. But what's interesting to me is that you've built a business that is based off of referrals because it's not a one-time thing. It's something that needs to happen over and over again. So it's a lot of repeat business. So it really is a relationship-based business, right? You're not selling a one-off, right? You have to have repetitive business, right?
Yeah, it's the consistency.
And that is everything. So it's word of mouth, it's consistency, and it's relationships, right? And I can't think of anything more important. And I speak a lot of times with agents, and they're very concerned, right, over technology and leverage, right? I have a lot of Buffini clients, whether they're Buffini or sphere-based businesses. To me, they're very similar, and he's just a little bit better in branding and marketing and his terminology for what that is. But that's incredibly important. I think people are scared to let that go. But as I watch what you've done and how you talk and what your mantra has been, relationships is at the forefront of that. So what do those conversations look like for you when you talk to people about using whether marketing or media or print or social or podcast or social? How do you reaffirm that these new avenues, these vehicles, right? And now we're fully ingrained with AA, at least at the basics level for a lot of people, or AI, where that's going to go. How do you discern in the approach that while tech is the leverage that we're utilizing today, relationships are still paramount and you're not ignoring that fact?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I mean, I think we as consumers all know that we want to do business with people we know, like, and trust. And ultimately, if you think about why you buy from someone or use somebody, it really comes down to the trust. That really is the main thing. And you think about who are the people that you trust. Well, people you trust are people who educate you. So, like pastors, you tend to trust them. Teachers, you tend to trust them. Coaches in your life, like, we tend to trust people that educate you. You also tend to trust people that you know a lot about and that they know a lot about you. So those are relationships. Like when you reveal yourself to people, you tend to trust those people. And then you also tend to trust people that you see all the time. And this is why I think it was Rory Vayner, if I get his name right. I can't remember exact name, but he talks about it's why we trust celebrities, because you see them all the time. And so why am I saying this frame up? But the reason why I'm saying this is because if you think about in business, if you want to get people to buy from you, you have to get them to trust you. In order to get them to trust you, the way to do that is through relationship, because through relationship, you have the ability to reveal things about yourself, to get them to know, like, and trust you. Ultimately, you have the chance to educate them. You have the chance to be seen by them over and over and over again. So psychologically, the reason why people buy is because of relationships. So if you want to sell more, whether you're in ReminderMedia or you're in real estate or you're in insurance, because I work in 100+ different industries now, it really comes down to, okay, how do you build trust with your clients? The best and fastest way to do that is to build a relationship with them. The best way to do that comes to really 3 principles that I put into a framework called F.I.T that I'm more than happy to walk through. But that's really why I believe ultimately you need to be in relationship, and relationships should drive everything, because that's ultimately what drives trust.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, let's take a dive into the mindset around Fit for You, because the power of relationships in business certainly has allowed you to scale to great lengths, right? So would you share a little bit, everybody, what you've learned and how you came up with that?
Yeah. So F.I.T, because I'm a marketer, right? I have to put everything into an acronym so it's easy to remember. If your marketing's out of shape and you're not getting the leads you want, then you need to get your marketing in shape. And what I've done is we've done 100+ million mailers, even more than that. We've done millions in social media, millions in emails sent. And none of this I say to impress people. It's just to impress upon you, hey, I've looked at this data. I've done a ton of these campaigns. And when I look at marketing campaigns that fail versus the ones that work, what are the differences? And I've really boiled it down to there's 3 things that every great marketing campaign needs. It needs FIT, which is frequency, impact, and trust. And frequency, what I share with people, I chose this word because it has 2 meanings. Great marketing has frequency of touch, but it also has frequency of channel. meaning just like you get into the car and you turn to the radio station of frequency you want to listen to, marketing is no different. There's many, many channels in marketing. And so what I teach people is, well, how many touch
froze
points?
Up on me there.
Can you hear me? Am I
Yeah.
back? Okay, perfect. So sorry about that.
Yeah,
hopefully the internet will be good. Well, I teach people, like, how many touches, David, do you think you need to your sphere in order to stay top of mind and have a relationship with them?
Well, you hear that 36 touch all the time, but it's funny when I structure that out with people, when I actually do the math with them, they say like 36 feels like a lot, but when I actually break it down for them, we realize that they may be over 50. I've had people over 70 when you add on the lack of focus that social media provides, that they touch them a lot, much more than they realize.
I love it, man. I share people all the time when I'm speaking on this. I say, write this number down. It's the magic number. Usually there's not magic numbers in business. Here's the magic number of touch points you need. It's called more. MORE. You need more touch points than you're doing today. If you're doing 36, you should be doing 37. If you're doing 100, you should be doing 101. I say that with conviction for two reasons. One is I look at my own business, ReminderMedia. I've grown it to tens of millions of dollars. We do touch points. We do well over 100 plus touch points a year to our clients through email and print and social and all that stuff. But you had Steven, my brother, on the show, Acree Brothers Realty. I think they did like 269 deals last year, maybe like 65 million in volume, something like that. They do over 200 touch points to their sphere. Almost 50% of their business is coming from their sphere. Brian Harris, he's a top 1% financial advisor in Maryland, manages like $1.5 billion in assets, top 1% in the world. I had him as a client, still have him as a client today. He spoke on stage in Phoenix, Arizona, shared that he does 275 touches a year to his client. 275. Yeah, it's insane, right? So he's doing, our magazine 6 times a year. He's doing 52 commentary emails. He's doing tons of client events. Like, I have his whole campaign broken down. And the reason why I share these examples is because it's so easy to do too little touch points. And so often we think we're doing too many. And I share with people that think of your best relationships, your wife, your husband, significant other. How often are you in touch with them? And if you really think of, like, in data, a graph, like, the more touch points you have with somebody, the closer relationship you have. As you go down in touches a year, you go down in relationship to the people that you don't know at all. And so you really shouldn't be scared about the frequency. You almost can't overhit them. We had Jay on our podcast. He runs subjectlines.com. And he was on our Stay Paid episode on Monday. And the guy tested over 15 million subject lines. He sends like 6 billion emails a year for his agency. And he says all the Fortune 500 companies know that you can't really send too many emails. It's almost impossible. That's why these clothing stores are hitting you every day. That's because they know they're looking for mind share. They're looking for brand. At least you're in front of them. The trick is, though, you can't just have frequency of touch. You got to have frequency of channel. So there's 6 channels of marketing at a high level that you can do for people. 1 is email inbox. 2 is the direct mailbox. 3 is face-to-face. 4 is voice-to-voice. 5 is what I call the web, which is social media, websites, things like that. And then 6 is screen-to-screen. That would be a text message, a Zoom like we're on right now. So you have 6 different channels that you can hit these people on, and there's variations within inside these channels. Your goal as a business right now would be, if I do 36 touches, which I think is a great standard that you can put out there, how do I get 36 touches across multiple frequencies? Because there's this thing in psychology called the frequency illusion, which the frequency illusion states that if David sees me on 2 or more channels, he believes he sees me more than he does. So just like when you go to buy a car, you see that car everywhere. That phenomenon that happens because it became important to you and registered in your RAS system. Now you see the car everywhere. It wasn't that the car wasn't there. You just weren't focused on it. The frequency illusion is a very similar phenomenon. It basically states that if, David, you see me today on Riverside, and then tonight you see my social media advertisement, or tonight you get my magazine in the mail, because you see me on 2 or more frequencies, print, social, you actually believe you see me more than you think you do. Why is that important? Well, if you're a real estate agent listening to this, 81% of sellers interview one agent before they choose that agent to sell their home. So if you're not first, you're last. So what I teach people is like, hey, in marketing, where most people fail is they are doing way too little. They don't promote. I mean, when we were getting on this, we were talking about the podcast, and you're like, yeah, what I'm not doing enough is I'm not promoting it enough. I need to
Yeah.
get it out there. You've heard the story of the fake real estate agent, right? From Hobbs and Herder.
Don't be a secret agent.
Yeah. Well, Don Hobbs, right? So from Hobbs and Herder. I was on the phone with him the other day, right? So the guy's a legend in the space. He created personal branding. I had plugged his video on Instagram. It went viral, or TikTok. I think it was TikTok went viral, and then Instagram semi went viral. But it was about how this fake agent campaign, where they were testing the 8x8, right? You're Keller Williams, the 8x8 campaign, and they wanted to test, well, what's the power of an 8x8 campaign? So they chose that neighborhood. They knocked on the doors. They asked them who the number one agent is. They got a myriad of different names. They came back, Don Hobbs and them created a fake real estate agent, fake name, fake credentials, fake everything, mailed an 8x8 campaign to this neighborhood. After the 8x8 campaign was done, which is one mailer a week for 8 straight weeks, they went back to the neighborhood, knocked on the doors, talked to the same homeowners, asked them who's the number one agent. And who do you think they chose?
The fake agent.
The fake agent.
Yeah.
And so what does that tell you as a business owner? It tells you, man, you don't have to be the best. You have to be the most known. I think it was Grant Cardone that says Starbucks doesn't have the best coffee. They're just on every street corner.
Mm-hmm.
How do you become the Starbucks in your community? Frequency. You should at least be doing 36 touches and try to build as much as you can to where people are seeing you. But the trick is, don't just send 36 emails. Don't just send 36 postcards. Spread it out over multiple frequencies so you create those magic words where it's, I see David everywhere.
And what I love about your frequency and your channels, right? But you're also doing print, right? So you're getting on all those different elements. And then when you layer in the magazines, like, because we know the things that go directly to the file drawer. They may see them, but it goes to the trash. But with the magazines, they stay on the desktop. The emails, they may or may not get filtered through. They may or may not get seen. If you're doing like an up-to-date, I'll do like a biweekly neighborhood touch, awareness of what's going on in their neighborhoods. But then you're also layering in podcasts and touches that are different topics and articles that are feeding to them, that are showing up in their different feeds. And you're just everywhere in their world. I ask people a lot of times, like, hey, have you ever been in a relationship with somebody, right? Or think that you're in a relationship that they're going to work with you, but then they go and work with somebody else. And I'm like, how does it feel when they don't work with you? And they're like, oh, it's terrible. And I'm like, oh, you went and unfriended them on Facebook, right? And I'm like, you have to not, like, those are all real life lessons. Like, those are things I joke about that have absolutely happened to me along the way where I think I'm communicating enough, right? And I'm like, you have to stop and you have to pause and you have to ask yourself, did I assume that they would do business with me, or did I do enough to earn their business?
Yeah, well said. Yeah,
and I think it's lost on a lot of people. People are afraid to talk about business. I'm not saying, hey, you got to be all business all the time. When it's in a relationship, they'll ask you, right? But that's why I like your multi-channel, because you're hitting them with the soft touches. You're always there in the periphery. But then if you're deliberately calling them quarterly, if you're deliberately getting out and having Starbucks with them, right? Or if you're getting out in front of them at open houses in their territories, you're just going by and helping them out. You're mixing both, right?
What you're getting to 100%, man. Like, you're getting at what I call the I, right? Which is impact. So you got frequency, then you have impact and trust. And the key to a marketing campaign is you have to have all three of these pillars. So you need to be as frequent as possible. The only thing that limits your frequency is time and money. So you would send more, you would do more if you had more money or you had more time. So you need to try to do as many touches as you can in the budget that you have with the time that you have. And then the key is, with frequency, you need to be frequent with impact. Well, how do you create impact? Marketing 101 is relevancy. Like, if you want to make money in marketing, you have to be relevant. This is why Google and Facebook make so much money. They are ad-based platforms. They're selling your data to companies like us.
Yep.
And we can advertise because they track everything you do, what you look at, what you like, what you engage with. They build a profile on you. Now they sell that profile to marketers. So if, David, you're into hiking, and REI wants to get their hiking gear in front of somebody, they can get it in front of you because Facebook knows you're into hiking by what you look at and what you watch. What is that? That's relevancy. Because it's relevant content to your likes and interests, you pay attention, which they can serve you a message, which gets a call to action, which gets you to buy. So think about this now as a real estate agent, because you're like, okay, Luke, I'm not Facebook and I can use that platform, but I'm not REI. What do I do? Well, I teach agents, think about your database. So David, if you're in my database, what I would do is I go, do I know the Ford method on David? The Ford method is family, occupation, recreation, dreams.
Yep.
Do I know David's family? Do I know his occupation, what he does for work? Do I know what his hobbies are? And do I know what his dreams are? People wonder, Luke, why does a magazine work so well? One of the reasons why this magazine works is because it's not just filled with market content. It's not just filled with transactional information. It's filled with general interest stuff. Like, this is our home one. We have a lifestyle one, a health one, a business one. And you're allowed to basically send this magazine filled with content that David might be interested in. And because he's interested in, what does he do? He doesn't throw it away. He brings it into his home. He sets it on the coffee table, and he might make the recipe. That's why the recipe cards are so popular. Like, I was at a Tom Ferry event just the last couple of days. And we were down there, and I met a client, and she showed me a text message where literally from her client, it was a picture of the client's magazine. And she says, please never stop sending me these. I love the recipes in this magazine. So she's connecting on something like food with that client, which, what do you think that's going to do? That's going to elevate the brand and mind share in the mind of that relationship. And again, people don't work with the best. She doesn't have to be the best realtor. She just has to be the most known, because 81% of the time, the consumer is going to choose the one they think of first. And so impact is about personalization. Well, in our magazine, you don't just get a personalized by sending content. That's great. You get a personalized down to the individual, where you can write a birthday letter to somebody. So if I knew it was your birthday, I could say, dear David, happy birthday. That goes on the front inside cover of your magazine. I can write a personal letter just to you in your magazine. So I can personalize the content based upon who I'm sending to. And now I can create impact. And there was this crazy study done on teachers, like what makes you remember your favorite teacher. And you think about like your favorite professor in high school or college. Why did you choose them? And what's interesting about the data is not what people said, it's what they didn't say. Nobody said, I love David, my professor, because he was an incredible lecturer. Nobody said David was my favorite because he had PhDs next to his name. So if you're worried about the certifications you have next to your name, I think certifications are good because it's your knowledge. You should do continuing education, but don't worry. It's not why the consumer is choosing you. The number one reason why people chose their favorite teacher is because they said, David took a personal interest in my life and where I was going as a student. And this is why often the football coach who was also the math teacher, or the band coach, was like, that's the person who they remembered or they loved, because it was a personal relationship. And so the magazine, even though it's not really about real estate, even though it has some real estate driven content in it, it gives you a chance to connect with the person on what their family, occupation, recreation, and their dreams of where they're going. And when you connect with somebody on those 4 pillars, you have a great relationship with them. Your goal as an agent should be, hey, I don't have a connection on all 4 pillars with every one of my clients, but how do I get there? When I make my quarterly calls, what am I going to talk about? Well, I'm going to check in on their family. I'm going to check in on how their work's doing. I'm going to talk to them about their hobby. Hey, Luke, I know you play on the praise team at your church. You know, how's that going for you? I'm going to check in on their dreams. Hey, man, I know you were interested in investing in real estate. Are you planning to do any of that in 2025? And when you do that, now you're having authentic conversations, but you need a non-salesy reason to call. And one of the reasons the magazine has worked phenomenally for like the Acree Brothers Realty team and others is because the magazine gives you a non-salesy reason to reach out to your sphere. Hey, David, was thinking about you today, man. Just got my latest issue. Good to be home. It reminded me I'm sending it to you as a gift. I hope you've been liking it. I try to customize it with recipes that I think you guys might like. Megan and I tried the blueberry pancake recipe in it. It was pretty phenomenal. But I hope you're liking it, man. How's life been going? Now I'm reaching out to my sphere, non-salesy, and then guess what I can do with the magazine? Because I can put call to actions on the magazine, like our last one with Acree Brothers on the front cover. It said, Lynchburg homes have gone up 30K. Want to know what your home's gone up? Scan here to find out. We got 33 scans from sending to 429 people in our sphere. And when you look at that, you go, oh, now I have a reason to go, oh, man, how's life been going? Hey, check out that recipe. Oh, by the way, I want to point it out that, you know, I have a free tool for all of my best relationships. If you ever want to know what your home's worth, I put it right there on the front of your magazine. You can always scan that QR code. It will give you an instant valuation, and I'll follow up with you. I can give you a professional CMA. But I just want to make sure you saw that. Did you have any plans, David, this year for buying, selling, investing? I mean, because obviously I want to make sure I'm helping you out if you do. And that's the goal. It's like the impact. I can send something that's non-salesy, follow up and have a conversation about family, occupation, recreation, dreams, turn the conversation to business by pointing out an item of value I'm giving them from the magazine. And boom, we're off to the races on collecting a referral or figuring out a repeat business possibility.
You know, I talk to people all the time about the importance of the data in your data bank. Right. And I actually break it down. I have LCR, right? Are they a lead? Are they a contact? Or am I actually in relationship with them? Mm-hmm. And they misinterpret that all the time. They're like, oh, what's a lead? Somebody's going to buy a house. I'm like, no, a lead might be somebody you already know, but all you have is basic information, right? Maybe all you have is a phone number or an email address, right? A contact might be, all right, I might have their home address. I might have some more details. But if I'm in a relationship with them, I know their hobbies. I hit all those topics you talked about in Ford. I know things I can have a conversation with them. When I call them, I don't have to lead or even ask about real estate, because when I talk to them about them, they're going to ask about me,
Yes.
right? Then you have all that information. You know if they're interested in hiking in your database. And that's when your database, right, becomes an asset. And that
Yes.
asset holds value, right? So that's kind of where I look at tying these things together. It's not just the need or the organization, but it's the deliberate nature that marketing allows you to do and what you do with the data that comes from on the other side.
Yeah. It's so true. One of my mentors, Alan Dalton, so he built a like 60 office brokerage and then was the CEO of Realtor.com. He basically explains it this way. He goes, you know, mediocre agents have a database. Top producers have a client base. And he goes, you should never have past clients. What are you, a past agent? He said, the shame in this industry is that doctors, lawyers, insurance agents, financial advisors, they all get to the end of their career and they can sell their business. But real estate agents get to the end of their career and they can't sell their business. Why? Because they've treated their clients like it's transactional. And doctors don't have past patients. Doctors have patients. You should never have past clients. You should only have clients that you are working with, that you're in relationship with, that every year you're doing their financial planning review for their home. Every year you're keeping touch with them and figuring out what's going on in their family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And then the key in marketing, right, is you have the frequency, the 36 touch, like you're talking about. You have the impact where you're personalizing and sending content that's just not about you. It's about their likes and interests. And then last but not least, you're building trust. So how do you build trust in marketing? There's 4 really incredible ways to do it. One is showcase your accolades. People buy from people they look up to, people that have accomplishments. So how are you showcasing to people what you've accomplished? So you go to conferences, right? I'm sure you go to many conferences throughout the year. Right? How do they intro speakers? They intro them by reading their bio. They intro them by reading their accolades. Why do they do that? Because they know there are people in the audience that don't know Luke Acree from anywhere. So I need to read some accolades to build some credibility with the audience. So you as an agent, you can showcase how long you've been in business. How many clients have you served? If you've won any local awards, have you won those local awards? And if you're a new agent listening to this and going, well, Luke, I don't have any accolades. Well, you joined a brokerage for a reason. They have accolades. How long have they served the community? How many families have they helped? Use what I call in sales is the royal we. We here at Keller Williams, we here at this brokerage have helped this many people. Use the royal we because until you get your own accolades. Now you got to be careful about that.
I can't appreciate you touching that enough. Right? I meet with new agents once a month, and we always have that conversation. Look, everybody started with zero. Everybody started with zero. I look around. Everybody you think is successful started with zero, right? And they had to leverage the we conversation through my team or my organization or through others that allowed me to do that. And I have a team, whether you realize it or not. It's all mindset, right?
Yes.
But verbalizing your story and your passions comes out more times than not. I find that people aren't tripping over the number of units you've done, right? Almost seldom ever comes up in a conversation because you carry yourself such a way and you present yourself in such a way and you are organized in such a way that you're not a fraud, right? That's apparent to most people, right? You're aware.
And it's well said, it comes across from your confidence. And it's like, what is sales? Like sales is influence. You're influencing people to make a good decision for their business based upon their pain point. How do you get confidence? How do you get influence? Confidence comes from competence. Competence comes from preparation. So if you feel, man, I'm not very confident in my listing presentation. I'm not very confident in how I'm doing things. Hey, you haven't put in the reps. Because if you put in more reps, I used to think I was going to be a musician for a living. God had different plans, but I love guitar, piano, and all that stuff. I get nervous when I get out on stage. My hands will shake a little bit when I'm playing piano. If I haven't put in the reps, if I haven't practiced, right, then I'm going to hit a wrong note. But if I practice, when I get out there, my muscle memory takes over. And when my muscle memory takes over, I can play, even if though my heart's going a million miles an hour. If you're a new agent or if you're even a veteran agent, you're like, man, I'm not displaying what my accolades are with confidence. It's because you're lacking competence, and you're lacking competence because you're not putting in the reps, the preparation. If you're down and out and discouraged, the best way to overcome that discouragement is through action. Right? The time you need the most momentum is when the rock is at rest. But when the rock gets into movement, you actually can keep it moving with less force. You've got to get yourself into movement, which is making the reps, is doing the practice. And so I always tell people, hey, got to share your accolades to build trust. Second way to build trust is those are humble brags. So if I set up here and I said, hey, David, man, I've been on the Inc. 5000 list 4 years in a row. I've been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine. I've spoke on these stages, blah, 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 blah. Eventually you'd be like, okay, I get it, Luke. It would be almost arrogant. So you got to be careful with how you display your accolades because you can almost overdo it.
Yeah.
So the better way to build trust, so show your accolades, but then show what your clients say about you. Testimonials. So number one influencer of why people buy is customer reviews.
Yep.
So do you have, like if I looked at your Google profile right now, how many reviews do you have? And are you getting all of your sphere to review you? You need to do that. Your Facebook, your Zillow profiles, your .com profiles, your Google profiles, huge. Get reviews. You have to get reviews. Third way to build trust is through association, partnerships. Right? So you guys don't know me from anywhere. Well, hopefully you do. Maybe I've promoted myself some, but you know David. That's why you're listening to this show. So I'm earning trust by association because David's allowing me to partner with him on this podcast. You all have faith in David because you listen to him over and over and over again. And I earn that trust. So think about your audience, lenders, title companies, financial advisors, insurance agents, inspectors. How are you leveraging those partnerships in order to reach their audience? One of the ways our clients do with the magazine is they'll feature the lender on their magazine. They'll go to the estate planning attorney and feature the estate planning attorney. They'll partner with the local businesses, build their own little B&I network, feature them in the magazine, then send the magazine to those people's client bases, put the magazine in those people's waiting rooms. So the key is that you want to, if you're not going to do the magazine, at least do it on Instagram. Every week, go live with another person that is in business in your area. Because if I go live with you right now, David, my audience is notified. And when you join the live, your audience is notified.
Yep.
So anybody from your audience that gets on with us on the live, guess what's going to happen? They're going to trust me because you're on with me. So I get trust by association through partnership. Fourth way to build trust is the hardest way. I'll close with this, is educational content. We trust people that educate us. We trust teachers and pastors and coaches. So how are you educating your audience on your passion and your subject matter? You need to be the SME, subject matter expert is what they call it. When people think real estate, they go, there's nobody that knows more about real estate than David. And how do you do that? It only happens over long periods of time. A perfect example of this is like our podcast, Stay Paid. We put it out now for almost 7 years, I guess a little over 7 years, 650 plus episodes. And the first 3 years, nobody listened. Like nobody listened. But what do I want to be known for? I want to be known for sales and marketing. I want to be known for, I want to educate people on sales and marketing. I'm obsessed with this stuff. And so I'm putting it out every Monday and Thursday. I was putting out an episode on sales and marketing. Well, if you're seeing that in your feed, and then I take the podcast and I put it up clips on social, and then I take the podcast and I wrote a blog on it, right? And I'm sending out emails to my email list, and you're seeing this educational content week over week from Luke Acree on sales and marketing. What do you subconsciously start to know about Luke Acree? This guy loves sales and marketing. Yeah. And now you might not need it today, David, but maybe a year from now, you've seen it over and over again and you go, man, I really need help getting some leads. Hey, let me just check out Luke. I mean, this guy's super passionate about it. He's putting out sales and marketing content all the time. Let me go check him out. And boom, that's where the magic happens. So if you want to build trust, you need frequency. 36 touches is a great place to start. You need impact, personalization. Don't just send content about you. And then last but not least, showcase your accolades, showcase your testimonials, showcase your partnerships, showcase your educational content. That is what will ultimately get people to know, like, and trust you. Our magazine, we do that. The reason why it works is because think of what it can do. It's a subscription, goes out frequently. It's omni-channel. It's both digital, print, all the content shareable on social media. What else does it have? It's personalized. You can write personal letters down to the individual, content to the individual. It's filled with content that the consumer will like based upon hobbies, likes, and interests. You have places to feature your testimonials, your educational content. You have places to feature your partnerships. It hits all of those avenues. I tell my sales team, look, we're not a print company. We are a marketing company. If pens become the secret to helping real estate agents stay connected to their database to help them drive referral and repeat business, we're going to produce the best dang pens you've ever seen. Just right now, magazines tend to work. We're seeing a 31% referral rate because you can do it at scale because it's less than a Hallmark card, but it's perceived as a gift. So we see a 4-week shelf life, and you send it for 6 issues, which is a year. We see a 31% referral rate.
As we start to wrap up, I think there's a lot of people that are always like hesitant. Look, we're coming out of a really challenging time. Business is down for a lot of people. So I can't think of a more important time than to focus on our databases, right? And I love that you called it the client base. But at the same time, cost is always good. So we look at whether it's frequency, impact, and trust, reaching out. And magazines had made probably to most people has a higher price point and barrier of entry. How do people get there? Right? What's the free? So if I'm starting new and I'm new in the business, how do I work my way up to consistency, but from a lower bandwidth?
Yeah, I love that. So I always see it in business. You have check equity and sweat equity, right? So check equity is you can write the money to get leverage. So you can write Luke Acree a check at Reminder Media to do marketing for you, to post on social, to send the magazine or postcards, whatever you want. Or if you don't have that money to get that leverage, you have sweat equity. And that sweat equity is you can still pick up the phone and call your client. You can still text them. You can still get on social media and DM them. You can create the post yourself. You can get out there and door knock. So, what I would encourage people, if you have no money today or you're tight on money, don't ignore the sweat equity. You don't have to have a magazine to be successful. It just gives you leverage, right? It's automated. It allows you to post and all that stuff. When you have the check equity, that's when you add leverage to earn back your time so you can focus on more revenue generating activities. But right now, if you don't have money, focus on the sweat equity. You can post for free. You can call people for free. You can door knock for free. You could maybe not take people for coffee for free, but you can meet up with people for free. And if you just focus on having, 20 conversations a day, 20 combos a day about real estate, you'll be a top producer. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Take that challenge.
And that's what I think people find that the hardest thing to do is to be deliberate on the conversations that they're having with regularity, but tying the conversations that you were talking about. Hey, what do I have to say? Who am I saying to? How regularly am I saying it? Mm-hmm. Listen, Luke, I appreciate all of your time. I appreciate you. And guys, listen to the side, listen to what he said. There was consistency in what it took him to grow to where he was, 3 years. So I got a little bit of time to go. This is year number 3 for our podcast. So maybe this is the jumping off point for us. But, somebody who's got 25 million views and 2.4 million viewers didn't happen overnight, but there was consistency and sweat equity involved with that. And there's a cost to everything, but it wasn't a ginormous cost to get started, right? It doesn't cost a lot to start recording yourself having conversations on your phone. It doesn't cost a lot to have social media platforms where I can put that out there. It doesn't cost a lot for me to understand who my audience is right through my friends list and target them specifically so they see my voice regularly enough. None of those things really cost. The time of cost was figuring out how to utilize the tools that bring me some technological leverage and in the long term save me time. Then I could spend some money on some of the other things and just build and build and build. So Luke, thanks for joining us on Entrepreneurial Impact. We look forward to continue to hear from you. And why don't you just kind of tell everybody else where they can find you online, all your spots.
Yeah, I really appreciate being on the show, David. It's great getting to know you and talking to you. I would love to connect with everybody on social. So Instagram, I'm at Luke Acree. Acree is Acree. And then Facebook, I'm at Luke Acree RM. So it stands for Reminder Media. And then if you want to check out what we're doing in marketing, remindermedia.com. Acree Brothers Realty, Keller Williams, based out of Lynchburg, we give away our 200 touchpoint system that we run for that team. So we're kind of an open book on what we're doing. You can download that. Everybody can see it. We teach you kind of the calls that we're making, how we're doing it. And we'd love to talk to you and show you that. So remindermedia.com, you can get access to all that info.
Well, excellent. Well, Luke, thank you. Another tremendous episode here at Entrepreneurial Impact. Hope everybody listening at home or watching us on YouTube on Entrepreneurial Impact got something from today. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week.